Okay, let's get right to it. Look at this. On one side, we have Marco ha corso la maratona, and on the other, Marco è corso a casa. See that? We've got ha corso using avere, and then è corso using essere. But hold on, it's the exact same verb, correre, which means to run. So what gives? So is one of them wrong? Is it a typo? Nope. The crazy part is they are both 100% correct. And that's the real mystery we're diving into today. It's not if they're right, it's why they're right. Let's figure this out. Okay, before we get into the heavy stuff, let's start with an easy one. Think of this as a little warm-up, a grammar freebie, if you will. This is the exception that's actually super simple to remember. So get this, there are a few verbs, mostly the ones we use for weather, like to rain or to snow, where Italian grammar just kind of chills out. With these, you can actually use either avere or essere. It's your choice. So you could say ha piovuto or è piovuto. And guess what? The meaning is exactly the same. No difference at all. Now, you'll probably hear ha piovuto with avere a bit more in everyday speech, but seriously, both are perfect. All right, warm-up's over. Time for the main event. This is the core of it all. It's where the real detective work comes in, because once you crack the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs, you've basically found the master key to this whole puzzle. So what on earth is a transitive verb? The easiest way to think about it is this. It's an action verb that needs to do something to something. It can't just exist on its own. It has to have a target. It transfers its action, kind of like throwing a ball. The verb is the throw, and the thing it hits, that's the direct object. And I've got a little trick for you, a secret weapon to spot these every time. I call it the avere question test. It's super simple. You just find the verb in the sentence and ask the question, what or whom? If you get a clear, direct answer right there in the sentence, bam, you use avere. Every time. Let's try it out on our first example. Marco ha corso la maratona. Okay, so the verb is corso. Let's ask the question, Marco ran what? The answer is right there, la maratona, the marathon. We got a direct answer. That means we have a direct object, which makes the verb transitive in this case, and that's why it has to be avere. Okay, so what about the other guy, the intransitive verb? Well, it's basically the opposite. This verb is more self-sufficient. It doesn't need a target. It's not doing something to an object. Instead, it's usually describing a state of being, or, and this is the big one for us, it's describing movement or a change of location. Now let's look at that second sentence. Marco è corso a casa. Let's try our what question again. Marco ran what? The sentence doesn't tell us. There's no answer. But if we ask a different question, like where did Marco run? A casa, home. See? It's not about an object, it's about direction. That makes it intransitive. And when it's intransitive, you've got to use essere. And you know what? Correre is not the only verb living this double life. Oh no. Verbs like salire, to go up, and scendere, to go down, do the exact same thing. Okay, so you've identified an intransitive verb, you've correctly chosen essere. Awesome. But hold on, you're not quite finished. See, essere is a bit needier than avere. It comes with one extra, super important rule you just can't forget. And here it is. This is the big one. Anytime, and I mean anytime, you use essere as your helper verb, the past participle has to agree with the subject. That means the ending has to change to match if the subject is masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. Avere, it couldn't care less. But essere? Oh, essere is very particular about this. Let's just look at how this works. If Marco, who's masculine singular, ran home, he is a corso. But if Maria, feminine singular, ran home, she is corsa. What if Marco and Luca, two guys, ran home? They are corsi. And if Maria and Giulia, two women, ran home, they are corse. You see that? O, A, I, A. The ending changes every single time to match the subject. This is a must-do. All right, you're doing great. Let's add one final piece to this whole puzzle. We've got these other verbs, right? The modal verbs, like must, can, want, dovere, potere, volere. What happens when they show up? How do they choose between avere and essere? Well, you're gonna love this because the rule here is actually so simple. These modal verbs are basically followers. They don't make the decision themselves, they just look at the main verb that comes after them and they borrow its helper. They just follow the leader. That's it. Okay, let's make this real. Take the verb studiare, to study. You study what? You study a subject, right? It takes a direct object, so it uses avere. So if you want to say, I had to study, the modal verb dovere just looks at studiare, sees it uses avere, and borrows it. Simple as that. Ho dovuto studiare. But now let's switch it up. What about partire, to leave? That's a verb of movement, right? It's intransitive, so it uses essere. So what happens if you had to leave? Well, dovere looks at partire, sees it needs essere, and so it borrows essere. And that's how you get sono dovuto partire or sono dovuta partire. And yep, you guessed it, the second essere shows up on the scene, even with the modal verb. That agreement rule we just learned kicks right back in. So the ending of dovuto has to change to dovuta, dovuti, or dovute to match the subject. It's like a domino effect. Phew, okay. We've collected the clues, we've interrogated the verbs, and we have cracked the code. So let's do a quick mission debrief to lock in these key secrets. So here it is, the whole case wrapped up in 3 points. Secret number 1, whether verbs are your free pass, use either avere or essere. Secret number 2, the big one. For our double agent verbs, it all depends on their job. If the job is transitive, it gets avere. If it's intransitive, it gets essere. And secret number 3, modal verbs are just borrowers. They take whatever helper the main verb uses. Look, if you walk away with just one thing today, let it be this. The secret isn't in the verb itself. It's not that correre is an avere verb or an essere verb. The secret is the job the verb is doing in that specific sentence. That's what makes all the difference.